boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday School, parents, grandparents, and teachers of Buddhist Sunday School and moral education. May you all be well and peaceful. Today, we are going to have a story, a Malaysian legend entitled The Sultan and the Three Thieves. Now, this is a Malaysian legend, just as what we have done for a few legends before. Remember the legend of Masuri? And then also we did before the legend of Batu Kawa. So this is a historical story, cannot be proved whether it is 100% true, right? But the important thing is we can learn good life lessons from the story, right? It's a classical story in Malaysian legends. So, as usual, we will launch the PowerPoint. Before that, we check the setup, right? The setup is okay. So now we can view the PowerPoint. And as we go along the slides, I'll explain to you and then tell you some of the important points of life lessons, right? So you can see the cover slide. This is a picture of the Sultan. Sultan. And then this animated picture show the three thieves, thieves, they mask themselves so they won't be recognized when they go to steal or rob, so that is the first slide. Now, I think I can stop my picture, right? Stop the video. Now, let us go on to the next one. This is also another cover picture. It's taken from a Malaysian legend series of the book. And then I got the various pictures, scanned, and then made into a PowerPoint before going to a video and putting in some cartoon pictures for the animation. And now we are doing the recording, right? So let us start the story. I'll read the story and explain to you. There once was a wise old Sultan who had a son who only liked to play all day. Then a few years later, the Sultan suddenly died. The lazy son was crowned the new Sultan. Now, you see, this boy, that means the prince, right, was very playful. So when he was young, he liked to play all day, did not do useful work like good studying or helping, so on. Nowadays, you have many like that, it's not good. If you don't study and help, you always want to play all day long, that is not good. So, but anyway, a few years later, after the Sultan died, so, the prince succeeded him to the throne and he was crowned the new Sultan. But he was lazy at first. He did not go to the great hall in the palace where his father, the old Sultan, listened to the problems of the people. Now, the father was a very good ruler, a very good Sultan, very compassionate, listened to the problems of his citizens, of the people, and he would help to solve their problems. But this new Sultan, very young, he did not even bother to go to the hall to listen or meet with the people. So the palace advisors, they were worried about this lazy Sultan. So let's see what will happen. All right. So let's go to the next frame. One night, the chief minister decided to call for a secret meeting. He wanted to make himself the next Sultan. This chief minister also had a lot of powers actually. He would be responsible for running the day-to-day affairs of the country, right? Like collecting taxes, right? And then deciding on certain things, rules, and so on. So he got a lot of power. So he had this ambition. He was not a good man, really. Right? He was not honest and he did certain wrong things. So he called, some of the palace people and they wanted to overthrow the Sultan. And then the chief minister would become the next Sultan. You see? So that was the meeting. And on the same night, the young Sultan went to sleep and suddenly he was awakened by an old man calling, wisdom, wisdom for sale, only 1 cent. Now, it's a strange thing. The story did not explain exactly that it could not be a dream because he was already awakened by an old man. You see? So, what did he do? He couldn't sleep already. So the Sultan sent for the man. Probably he just give the command or ask the palace guards and so on, bring the man or whatever it was, and then the man appeared. So could it be a spirit of the father, right, who wanted to come to teach him a lesson? It could be. But anyway, the old man came, right? And the Sultan, the young Sultan, gave him 1 cent. The 1 cent, then you get the wisdom. Then the old man whispered, said softly, be awake rather than sleeping. Be seated rather than sleeping. Be standing rather than sitting. Be walking rather than standing. And then the old man left as suddenly as he had appeared. Very strange, isn't it? But anyway, the message, very interesting. The message from the old man was actually to tell this young Sultan not to be lazy. Every day sleeping most of the time, right? Not active in dealing with the affairs of the country or the palace. So he said, rather than always just sleeping, you better be awake and alert. And you should be moving, walking rather than standing. Standing, of course, better than sleeping. So it was this message, better be active, tend to your affairs, and do not be lazy. So that was this message the old man gave the young Sultan. So the Sultan could not sleep that night. The rest of the night he couldn't sleep very well. Right? Then, maybe very early in the morning, he changed his clothes, the royal clothes. He put on some rag clothes, that means very poor, torn clothes. And then he secretly left the palace. Right? So maybe he was starting to change. He wanted to go to see what actually was happening in his country. So he secretly left the palace. And then you walk around and he soon came upon 3 thieves, pencuri. So he showed himself, right? You could see it here, there was this Sultan with the mask, right? But this one was not because of COVID-19, right? So they didn't want people to recognize him, so they put the mask. So he showed himself and claimed that he was an expert thief, right? And the first thief of the 3, the first thief said, I can put people to sleep. And then the second one said, if a dog barks, I can silence it, I can make it quiet. And then the third one said, I can open locked doors. So they had these skills. Now actually let's look at this. He said, the first one said that I can put people to sleep. Of course, you may think it's strange, but actually we have, certain people called hypnotists, right? They could hypnotize you and they can put you to sleep, right? That's why there have been claimed that some con men, they use this method to hypnotize a person, and then the person like sleepy, blur already, and then he would be robbed or he would just follow what the con man tells him to do. So those days, so they had these sort of things. And then, of course, you silence the dog. So in various ways, you could let the dog eat certain things, isn't it? Certain chemicals, and then the dog can stop barking and then go to sleep. And then, of course, there are people who can pick locks. So it's possible, right? So let us see what happens next. Then the Sultan, of course, the three thieves did not know that this young man was the Sultan, right? He was so shabbily dressed, in rag clothes. Well, I can bring the dead back to life. He claimed. Wow, the thieves were quite impressed. Maybe he looked quite, dignified lah. As a Sultan, is he? So they made him the leader lah. They said, "Okay, you be the leader." Then you know what the thieves told him? They told him about the terrible chief minister. Then we are forced to steal to help our families. The chief minister made the people pay very high taxes. So terrible. He was not a good minister. So then the Sultan only knew that the chief minister was not a good person. So, the thieves said, "We are going to rob the chief minister's house tonight." They say, going to the house to rob him, take his valuable things, treasures. So let's see, right? So it was, happening already. So the night, of course, the Sultan, disguised as just an ordinary person, right? Accompanied the three thieves, and when they reached the chief minister's house that night, the Sultan was shocked to see there was a secret meeting taking place inside the chief minister's house with some of the palace people, and they were plotting to overthrow him and take his place as the Sultan. Then he knew already the chief minister was not honest, not loyal, could not be trusted. He realized that the chief minister was plotting against him. So he quickly told the three thieves to get to work. Very quickly get to work, which means to carry out your stealing job, right? So, the first one, he could put people to sleep. So he put the chief minister together with the other people with kaki, right? Who were plotting to overthrow the Sultan. And the second one, of course, right, put the dog to sleep. Would not bark already, And the third one, of course, pick the lock, isn't it? Right, of the house, of the chief minister's house to get into the house. So I see the dog sleeping, right? They had the meeting going on. The chief minister was blah, 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 blah away. As I said, the third one, speaking the lock to enter. Maybe it was the back door or something like that. So the first thing, as I told you just now, said some magic words. Actually, it could be hypnotism nowadays, right? And put the man to sleep. The second one, I told you, right? Made the dogs go silent. We could put some chemicals or what. And the third one, open the locked doors, right? So what did they do now? So once inside the house already, all the rulers were sleeping, including the chief minister and all the kaki. Then the thieves looted the house, means to steal. To steal all those things in the house, the expensive items, maybe jewelry, or some, pots or pans, which are very expensive, all the valuable things. But to their surprise, the three thieves found their new leader did not want any of the gold and treasures. No, they no, I don't need all those things. Well, he's a Sultan, right? So he didn't take anything from the robbery carried out by the three thieves. So he only went around to examine clearly. He only went around looking closely at the faces of the chief minister's men. Maybe he wanted to know, who were the traitors from the palace going against him. Of course, he knew the chief minister, the leader. Then what about the other men who supported the chief minister and not loyal to the king? So he wanted to know. Then later on, he could punish them, right? For call it kianat, going against the king. So let us see what happens next. So then the Sultan, of course, he thought that he was another thief. So before they left, the Sultan picked 4 peacock feathers. And you can see, you know, peacock, very beautiful birds, isn't it? Right? The male one is very beautiful. So he picked 4 peacock feathers from a room. Actually, the room of the chief minister, very well furnished, a very rich fellow. So like, you know, he got so much money in a corrupted way. So of course, there were peacock feathers which were quite expensive, right, as decoration. So the Sultan took 4 peacock feathers from the room in the chief minister's house, and then he told the other 3, I must say goodbye, but before we part, let us fix a feather in our headband. Now, you know what is a headband? This is a headband. Yellow headband, blue headband, and this is the purple, right? So you say each of us will take a feather and fix onto our headband. So this will enable us to recognize each other, isn't it? Because we're all wearing masks. So the next time we meet, we will be able to know each other easily, even at a distance. We will know already. So the other 3 thieves say, oh, very good idea. We are now part of a gang, isn't it? So the Sultan left, right? I hope you understand. These are the feathers. So next morning, the Sultan changed already his ways, you know. Last time I told you I was lazy, used to sleep, he didn't want to get up early, and he didn't want to go to the hall to meet the people with the problems, isn't it? But after that experience with the old man who gave him the words of wisdom, so he started thinking and he changed already. That's a good thing. He changed into a wise Sultan and one who is compassionate and concerned about his people. So next morning, the Sultan entered the great hall for the first time. Wow, all his ministers and also the court officials, the palace officials were very surprised. Wow, very surprised. It never happened before. So the Sultan asked, how is our country? Is it peaceful and safe? Actually, he knew already. He had seen, isn't he? Because I told you, he dressed in shabby clothes and ran out to have a look all around the countryside, right? So he knew already. So, but he just wanted to test the chief minister. He knew the chief minister is a crook, a crook. You know what the chief ministers say? Yes, Your Majesty, everything is going on fine. People are very happy and peaceful, which is nonsense, right? So the Sultan knew already the truth. Then, so the Sultan then ordered his royal warriors or the guards. They go around, right? And then you look for 3 men with peacock feathers in their headbands. Bring them to me in the palace hall, right? So soon the warriors went around searching, and then they of course could easily find the 3 thieves because the 3 thieves were wearing headbands with the peacock feathers, isn't it? Right. So these 3 thieves were brought before the Sultan for the meeting with the Sultan. The king, something like king. Then what happens next? These 3 men are thieves. The country is not safe and peaceful. Many people are suffering. You, the chief minister, not been doing your work. The chief minister lied to me, right? And people are suffering. Even the 3 thieves are stealing things. So this person is not fit to be a chief minister, said the Sultan. Throw him to the royal crocodiles. In the palace, they have this strange thing. You have a pool of water where they rear the crocodiles. And people could be punished this way, to throw into the pool of crocodiles. They call the royal crocodile. So the chief minister, for all his wrongdoings, had to be punished. The Sultan gave the decree or the judgment. So he was pushed into the pool of crocodile. You see, this crocodile are so happy to get the meal. So before long, there was nothing left of the chief minister. Which means that he was eaten away. He was eaten by the crocodiles. Hardly anything left, or maybe the bones only. Well, of course, this is a legend, a story, but I think it teaches us very important lessons. Do evil, and evil will befall you, and you suffer. You see, right? So that was the fate of the chief minister, who was not a good person. So let's see what happened to the three thieves. Then, to test the thieves, the Sultan told his men to take the thieves away and hang them. Right? Actually, he had something in mind. I say, oh, they are thieves, right? So go and hang them. Then the first thief quickly spoke up. He said, we have a leader, and this leader has the power to bring us back to life. We actually are 4 in the gang. The leader is the one that can bring the dead back to life. Then you know what the Sultan did? He took out his feather, the peacock feather, and put it on his head scarf. Of course, now he won't wear just a band. He will wear the expensive head scarf like crown like that, Sultan. Wow, the thieves were shocked. Then only they realized actually their leader was the Sultan. The leader was the Sultan. So we really beg for forgiveness. You see like this cartoon. They will say, please forgive us, otherwise you will be sentenced to death by hanging. Or you will be stole because we are so poor. We have no food. The chief minister, make us suffer, all those things. So anyway, they admitted that stealing is wrong. Whatever it is, they shouldn't, you see. So they beg for forgiveness. So the Sultan was a wise and compassionate person. So what did he do? So the Sultan said, okay, I'll forgive you, 3 of you. You're actually good people, but then you did something wrong because of circumstances. But now you work in the palace. The Sultan made them his royal advisors. High pangkat. And then from that day onwards, the Sultan ruled very wisely. He had good morality, and the people were happy. There was peace in the country. So the story ended on a good note. So everybody was happy. The people in the country, right, were happy and peaceful. Right? Because a good Sultan, right, that had good morality and also wisdom, right, and care, compassionate, just like his father now. So you see, this is the story of the Sultan and the 3 thieves. Right? Interesting Malaysian legend. So I hope you understand. You have learned some English sentences, and then also how to read the pronunciation of words, right? So later on, you also can write stories and tell people, pronounce the words clearly. And many people, including adults, like to listen to stories. But now we come to the most important thing, is the moral. What are the moral lessons or life lessons or Dharma points that we can learn from this story? So this is the last part that we have to go over. So now, let us go to the next slide now. There are 5 lessons to learn. These lessons, not your geography lessons or your history or your science. These are what we call life lessons with good Dharma points. So you hear the story, enjoy the story, but now very important is to understand the lessons, life lessons, and then to try to practice them, isn't it? All right, let's look at the first one. The first one. Do not be lazy. As you could see from the start, they were very worried because the young boy was lazy. And then when he became the young Sultan, at first he was also lazy, didn't want to go to the hall to meet with the people, to help people with their problems, isn't it? So that will be not good. If he had remained like this and he did not change, then wow, there will be lots of suffering and trouble. And probably you'll be kicked out and you will be, maybe put to jail by another person like the chief minister, and who also had his bad ways. So this point of not being lazy is very important. So if when you are young, you tend to be like this, want to play all night, all day long, right? And then your mother asks you, Akao, you haven't done your homework, come and study, you don't bother, you go and play, or you watch TV endlessly. In the end, you find you will be the one who suffers, right? So this is a very good point. There's a time to play, a time to study, a time to work, a time to help, a time to rest, a time to sleep. So you have a balanced life. You have a timetable that you follow. So that is important, right? Even in the Dharma practice, for people who are lazy, they cannot make progress, right? Meditate for 1 day, rest for 2 weeks, right? Or go for Dharma lesson, right, for 1 week, and then disappears for 2 months. There's a Sunday school also. Some they will come for 1 or 2 weeks, absent for 1 month. But sometimes not due to the fault of the young students in this case. Because if their parents don't send them, then of course they cannot go. But sometimes it is because the children themselves are lazy and they lie to the parents. They say 不要去那个佛学班啦，没有学什么东西的啦，不要去啦。And then some parents say OK 啦，OK 啦，不要紧啦，不要去啦。So you see, they will not be able to improve in the Dharma and the life lessons. Then when they become older, they find you faced with a lot of problems. Okay, let's go to the second one. Right? Good leaders help people with their problems. Very important. How to get good leaders? From young, they must be trained. They must receive the religious education. For Buddhism, of course, you have to receive the Dharma, right? The good morality, how to think, and all those things. Then later on, you can become good leaders. And the good leaders will be in the government. So if you have such people with good morality, wisdom, and so on, then they can help people with their problems. And the country will be more peaceful, isn't it? So you see how important it is to have good leaders. But to have good leaders, we need to train them from young, isn't it? Inculcate the values, the character, development, and so on. Otherwise, from young, if they have all the bad habits, right, lazy, always procrastinate, don't do the work, and then also not punctual, no manners, being very rude, right? And then we'll still break the precepts, stealing, telling lies, all those things. How do you have good leaders? Because now you find in our country also, you read the papers, you have leaders who don't have good morality, right? Corruption, right? And many other things which are immoral. So from young, we must have this education, moral education, and apply. So let us look at the third lesson. We must give up our bad ways and habits. All of us, especially when we're young, we have our bad ways and bad habits, isn't it? Right? Like for example, as I gave you just now the example, some people are never punctual, right? They don't follow the traffic rules and regulations, and then they do not keep themselves clean, right? Not hygienic. Like now in the COVID-19 pandemic, some don't follow the SOP, right? They go out, so they don't want to wear masks, and then they don't practice, social distancing. They go in the crowd. So, these people are irresponsible. Bad ways, don't follow instructions for the good of all. Maybe they just want to think of themselves. So from young, if that person is very self-centered, selfish, not willing to help, lack of metta and compassion, then when you become older, you have those traits. So therefore, from young, the parents, the teachers, and they themselves must give up all the bad ways and then do the good things and cultivate the good habits like punctuality and then very honest in the work responsibility many others you know. Then next time when you become adults, wow, people really respect you, you know. You'll be successful because you have all these good qualities. From young, you must cultivate those things, right? So there's the third one. Let's look at the fourth one. Peace can prevail under leaders with morality and wisdom. Oh, it's very true, isn't it? It's not only in the country, in any society, right? In any community, if the leaders, they have good moral values, they have virtues like compassion, love, right? And then the dana spirit, a good heart, always doing charity. So these good leaders will set the examples and they can lead the people to do good. And then because of these good leaders, people respect them so they can enforce the laws so the community or the country or the society will become more peaceful, isn't it? There's justice, right? People have responsibility and they practice their religious values. Like Buddhism, for example, right? They will have to keep their precepts, their moral values. You cannot just simply steal, cheat, lie, right? Or become marble and then do all the nonsense things. So many people will suffer, isn't it? That's why it's very important to have a religion, a proper religion from young, and practice from young. Then later on, when you are older, you don't have to worry. Parents don't have to worry wherever you are because the good things have been inculcated or planted inside you already. So no worry. And then the other aspect is wisdom. Wisdom to be able to know what should be done and what should not be done. What is good, what is evil or bad, right? And what are the ways where we can use in order to solve the problem. That is more tricky to have the wisdom. You cannot just study the book like this. You get wisdom. It's not like that. You study the book, you can get A's. You become clever, right? You can become a professor, but we have also professors to become terrorists. Yeah, it's true. I ask, and they kill people. How is it that they are lecturers with very high degrees and yet they become terrorists? Because they don't have wisdom. Being clever is different from being wise, to know what is to be done. And with wisdom comes along the compassion, to feel for others, the metta and the compassion, right? So the wisdom can only be cultivated through the learning, like for Buddhists, learning of the Dharma, understanding it, practicing it, contemplating or reflecting on it, so that in your mind now grows a certain quality we call wisdom, 智慧, kebijaksanaan, so that you know. And when things happen and there are problems, your wisdom tells you what to do. So when you have wisdom, then you find that the suffering goes down because you know already the causes and you understand the nature of things. Wow, you are a wise person. You can handle the problems of the world so much better and you become more peaceful. Now you find that in the world, because people they don't have this quality of wisdom. They cannot face with the problem. A doctor, for example, I think some years ago it happened already. The girlfriend ran away means gave up on him, followed another man. So he jumped down and committed suicide. Doctor, very clever, right? But doesn't understand what things truly are. Doesn't have the Dharma, no wisdom. So you see how important. So if the leaders have this morality and wisdom, wow, these are good leaders, right? Now, let us go to the last of the lessons. Those who commit evil deeds in the mind, speech, or body will suffer eventually. That is very true. Right? Just to revise, said that many times, perhaps. You must not do the evil things, 10 things must not do, because they will have bad consequences, what we call bad karma with their fruits of vipaka, and you will suffer in this life, also the next life. If it doesn't get so much effect this life, you get it in the next life. Very sad rebirths, woeful state. What are the 10 things that you must not do, the evil deeds? 3 of the mind, 4 of the speech, and 3 of the body. 3, 4, 3, altogether 10. 10 things must not do. So let's quickly go over because it's very important. The 3 things of the mind is, do not be greedy and covetous, right? Greed will drive you to do a lot of terrible things. Corruption, bribery, stealing, robbery, all the things, greed, right? So the thing you must watch, do not have this greed as an evil in the mind. The second one is, must not have the ill will, anger, hatred. When there is anger, there is hatred, it can drive you to do terrible things, isn't it? You will kill a person, or you can torture a person, because there is full of anger and ill will. That's second thing of the mind. And the third thing is the delusion. Delusion means ignorance, foolishness, right? Gong tai tai kejahilan in Malay. I mean, not knowing what is good and what is bad, right? And then the ego is very big, wow, sombong, and then want to control people, all this, that you do terrible things because of delusion. Wrong beliefs, wrong views, strong ego, all these constitute the delusion. So now you have 3 of the mind, remember? Greed, anger, hatred, and then delusion, right? Then you have the speech. The speech, there are 4 things you must not do. The first one, do not lie. No lying. The second one is, do not slander. Slander means carry tales, talk bad about other people, and as a result, a lot of suffering and trouble comes about, right? So no lying, no slander. So, people who slander, they talk bad about a person, and they come to api, and then they carry tale, and then people gado, all these things, that is a bad karma, right? And then the third thing of the speech is no harsh speech. That means not to use terrible words, right? That cause the pain and hurt to another person, right? And if you start from young, doing this, you carry on until you're adult. Use bad words, terrible words, harsh words, and then, it doesn't create good impression among other people, and then also it can hurt other people because they're not careful, right? Harsh words. And the fourth one is no gossip. That means talking frivolous talk. Speech that doesn't bring any benefit. And sometimes they spread rumors, right? They like to gossip endless things, especially not so good things about other people. Gossip, that's not true also, right? Just empty talk. Better spend your time with constructive speech, like for example, discussing Dharma, or maybe reading important books and then discuss this. So many good things you can talk about rather than just gossip. So 4 things already. And finally, the 3 things of the body that should not be done. 1, of course, no killing. Right? No killing with that intention, because just as you also value your life, so even animals, human beings, and of course even animals value their life also. So don't see certain people, they go and torture the dogs, right? And then some go hunting, right? Hunting and then cause pain to the animals that are being hunted. Imagine. So no killing. The second one, of course, is no lying, right? No lying. And then it's the body action. Just now no lying one is the speech one. Now we are at the body. No killing, no stealing, right? Taking what is not given to you. Just as you don't want people to steal from you, you also should not do that. Common sense. So no killing, no stealing. And the third one is no sexual misconduct. People who are married should not go and commit adultery, zina, or steal other people's wives, or go and rape other ladies, or even now ladies also go and molest the men. All these are wrong things, right? So 10 things. So sometimes when you pay respect to the Buddha and then you use the folded palms on your forehead, and then after that on your speech, and then on your body, you can remind yourself 3 things of the mind that I should not do, and then 4 things of the speech I should not do, and then 3 things of the body, right? So 3, 4, 3, altogether 10. So if you break these things, there will be the consequences, the bad karmic effect. So when you do all these things very well, you are on a very good track to Buddhahood. All right. So we have now come to the end of this lesson. It's just based on a simple story, right? And that simple story, the Sultan and the Three Thieves. But from there, you see, we have discussed so many good Dharma messages, Dharma teachings, as well as life lessons. So I thank all of you, students, and also the parents and grandparents, and of course, the teachers who have taken time, right, to follow this presentation just based on a story. And we hope that you can, all right, reflect on the Dharma, reflect on the life lessons, right, that can be learned and try to practice. So I wish you all the very best, right? May you all be well and peaceful. So we will conclude by saying sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May you all be well, happy, healthy, and peaceful. Take care, stay safe.